Next thing I wanted to talk about is this Spectral Dynamic EQ. So the way this Spectral Dynamic EQ works is very similar to Trackspacer and Soothe. If you're not familiar with either of those, basically, let's open up Soothe. So if we put this on the side bass, Soothe is... The way I refer to it is like a spectral dynamic EQ. If anyone's familiar with Soothe, it is a very powerful plugin. There's so much you can do in it. But essentially what it does is I like to think of it like a multi-band compressor, but with no limitations as far as the bands. As you turn this depth knob up, you can dynamically EQ certain parts of the sound. You can also dynamically sidechain EQ certain parts of the sound. But Soothe is a very expensive plugin. And so I wanted to challenge myself to see if I could make a cheaper alternative, and I did. So we have this plugin called the Raveyard Dynamic Spectral EQ 1.0. So if we look at it, it just looks like an EQ right here. But if we turn this smooth knob up, the EQ is dancing. It is dancing. So how this works is inside of this rack, there's basically a bunch of EQs on individual tracks, and it's picking up the frequencies from each band. And then there's an envelope follower that's reading that, and that is what is modulating this EQ. So it's really nice for like smoothing out certain parts of the track. And I just love the way it looks. It loads up super fast. It doesn't add any latency, and it's $5 on our site. Literally, it's for sale for $5 compared to Oak Sound Soothe. Let's see how much this is. I mean, 220. Like, get out of here. Soothe is really sick. Soothe is more powerful, but I don't use nearly any or half the features on Soothe, to be honest. Like, I really don't. So for $5, you kind of can't beat this. So I'm gonna just like dive in to just show you how this works. So this works in multiple ways. You can either soothe out the actual sound. So we have smooth, which is basically the intensity of this effect. Then we have Q factor, which sharpens the, so if we turn this up all the way, as we turn the Q factor down, it gets a little bit more broad. Then we have this decay knob, which as soon as the envelope follower is triggered, you can turn the decay up and it will return back to normal a little bit slower. Then we have focus low cut and focus high cut. This focus low cut will basically be like, I don't want the lows to be touched at all. So now the highs are only being tamed. And if we want to focus high cut, we can turn the low cut back down all the way and tell the plugin that we only want the lows to be affected. That's all cool in itself, but my favorite part has to be the sidechain portion. We have this dynamic spectral EQ on the side bass. If we turn the smooth all the way up, you can see it's taking effect, but if we turn the sidechain up, it's no longer working. So what I want to do is I don't want the lows of the side bass interfering with the lows of the kick. So what I can do is go into this insert sidechain section, select audio from, and then I'm going to pick my kick. And basically what's going to happen, if we turn this down, this compressor is listening to the kick. And now instead of the side bass that's coming through and affecting everything, now it's just listening to the kick. So let's press play and I'll gradually drag the smooth knob up. And if we turn the kick off, it's no longer sidechaining. So this is really nice for creating room in the mix without having to sidechain using just volume. So what I typically like to do is turn the focus high cut down. So I'm only affecting the lows. And then the great part too is you can just take these bands and slide them left to right. And And it's hard to hear, but you definitely create a little bit more headroom so you can have a louder mix, but also a cleaner mix. So this plugin is on our site. Let's see, Ableton Rack. Yeah, $5 on our site. It's definitely a steal. It's awesome. Another way to use it is if you have vocals and synths together, put it on your synths and sidechain it to the vocals. So every time the vocals come in, the synths will like duck themselves out. It's super useful. I use it all the time, and it's definitely made